I used to think I had it all figured out. My name is Jake, and I was happily married to a woman named Michelle. We had been together for nearly 7 years, and everything seemed perfect on the surface. Sure, we had our little squabbles like every couple, but who doesn't? Life was mostly good. I had a decent job as a marketing manager, and Michelle was a nurse. We even had plans to start a family someday, or at least that's what I thought. But lately, I'd started noticing some changes in Michelle. She was distant, often lost in thought, and I could feel the emotional gap widening between us. At first, I chalked it up to her hectic work schedule. She was pulling more late shifts than usual, and I figured she was just exhausted. I tried to be supportive, but the more I reached out, the more she seemed to pull away. Her late-night texts and sudden grocery runs became more frequent. Then there were the unexplained outings that had me raising an eyebrow. One evening, as I was washing the dishes, I noticed her phone buzzing on the counter. I caught a glimpse of a name. On the screen, Danny. I didn't recognize it, but something about it felt unsettling. I dismissed it at first, telling myself I was being paranoid. Michelle had plenty of friends, so why should I be worried? But the nagging feeling wouldn't leave me. A few days later, I decided to dig a little deeper. While she was taking a shower, I grabbed her phone and unlocked it. The moment I opened her messages, my heart sank. There it was, flirty exchanges with Danny, explicit messages that left no room for doubt. Michelle was cheating on me with a casino owner. My mind raced. How could she do this? The betrayal hit me like a freight train. I was paralyzed by a whirlwind of emotions, anger, disbelief, sadness. Everything crashed down on me at once. I felt like I was losing my grip on sanity. I didn't know how I was going to confront her, but I knew that I couldn't let it fester. I had to face her, but how do you even start a conversation like that? It felt like I was about to step into a minefield. When she finally emerged from the shower, I was pacing the living room, my heart pounding in my chest. The look on her face when she saw me was a mixture of curiosity and dread. I dove right in, demanding an explanation. She initially laughed it off, claiming it was just innocent flirting, nothing serious. But I pressed harder, shoving my phone in her face, showing her the messages I had discovered. Her demeanor shifted. The confident facade cracked, and for a moment I saw fear in her eyes. She tried to bullshit her way out of it, claiming I was overreacting and that I had no proof of anything serious. But we both knew the truth. I was devastated to see how easily she could lie, how effortlessly she twisted the narrative to fit her agenda. As the confrontation unfolded, every lie felt like a dagger to my heart. Each excuse she threw at me felt more pathetic than the last. I had loved her, cherished her, and here I was, staring at a woman who was willing to throw it all away for some thrill with a slick casino owner. I felt sick. The anger bubbled inside me, but more than that, I felt a deep sadness washing over me. The life we had built together felt like a lie. In that moment, I knew I had to make a decision about what to do next. I couldn't imagine moving past this betrayal without some form of resolution. I had two choices. I could either work on fixing the pieces of our shattered marriage or walk away entirely. But the choice felt obvious. The love I once had for her was fading rapidly. The question was, what was I going to do with this newfound knowledge? Sitting there, my head spinning with emotions, I realized that I had to do something drastic. I couldn't go on like this. I had to take control of my life, and that meant making smart financial moves, not just in money but in love. I was done gambling on relationships. As I stared at her, rage simmering beneath my skin, a plan began to form. I would not be her victim. The power was shifting, and now it was time for me to take my life back. It was time for revenge, but not in the way one might expect. It was time to play the long game. After that explosive confrontation, I found myself in an emotional whirlwind. It was hard to process everything that had just happened. I was angry, heartbroken, and confused, but I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't let my life be dictated by Michelle's betrayal. So I decided to take the weekend to think things through. I packed a bag and headed to my brother Matt's place. He always had a way of grounding me, and I needed his guidance. When I arrived, I dumped all of my feelings on him. I told him everything from the small signs I had missed to the crushing evidence I found on her phone. Matt listened patiently, his expression shifting from concern to disbelief as I recounted the details. "Man, you deserve better than this," he said. "You've been so good to her. If she can't see that, then maybe it's time to rethink everything." His words struck a chord. I started to think about my own self-worth and what I wanted out of life. I had been so committed to Michelle, putting her first, that I didn't even realize how much of myself I had lost. The thought of rebuilding my life without her started to take root in my mind, but there was still an urge within me for some form of justice, a sense of closure that I desperately needed. Over the next few days, I sketched out a plan. I had been in marketing long enough to know how to turn a situation to my advantage. My first order of business was to keep a low profile and gather evidence of Michelle's infidelity. I knew that confronting her again without solid proof wouldn't yield anything new. She'd just revert to her old tricks of denial and manipulation. I needed to outsmart her. With that in mind, I started following her. I didn't want to go down the route of hiring a private investigator, too expensive and too risky. Instead, I took notes of her schedule, her work shifts, and her little errands. It wasn't hard to track her movements, especially when she was so careless with her phone. I even set up a fake Instagram account to keep an eye on her social media activity. It felt invasive and dirty, but I justified it as necessary for my own peace of mind. One evening, while I was scrolling through her tagged photos, I stumbled across a picture from one of her outings with Danny. There she was, smiling, her arm wrapped around him, clearly enjoying herself. The image was a gut punch, but it also fueled my determination. I could see that she was living a double life, and I was going to expose it. As the days turned into weeks, I collected more evidence. I learned that they often met at a bar downtown, near the casino he owned. The irony of it wasn't lost on me. I had always been the responsible one, the one who saved and planned for the future, while she was out there playing roulette with her fidelity. I started to map out how I would confront her again, but this time with proof that would force her to face her actions. I reached out to a couple of friends who had been through similar situations, seeking advice on how to handle the confrontation when the time came. They shared their experiences of betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately, empowerment. It felt liberating to share my story and hear theirs. It reminded me that I wasn't alone in this mess. Meanwhile, I started looking into my finances. I had always been the one managing the household budget, making sure we were saving for our future home and any potential family. But now, I needed to think about my financial independence. I began researching investments, learning about stocks and mutual funds, and even considered side hustles to boost my income. I realized that in order to regain control, I had to secure my financial future. I didn't want to be tied down by shared accounts that could lead to disputes. I opened a separate bank account and started funneling a portion of my paycheck into it. It felt empowering to take these steps, to know that I was doing something for myself for a change. As I gained confidence, I started to distance myself from Michelle emotionally. I found myself less affected by her late-night texts, the ones that read like nothing ever happened. I began to see her for who she truly was, someone who had betrayed my trust and shattered my heart. The day I finally decided to confront her again was etched in my mind. I waited until she got home from another late shift, knowing that she would be tired and vulnerable. It was time for the truth to come out. And I was ready to turn the tables. I had collected all the ammunition I needed, and I was going to make sure she understood the gravity of what she had done. I could feel the tension building, the anticipation of what was about to happen. I just hoped that I could keep my emotions in check long enough to get through this conversation without losing my composure. This was the moment I had been preparing for. The stakes were high, and I was ready to take my life back. The day I had been anxiously anticipating finally arrived. I felt a mix of dread and determination swirling in my gut as I paced the living room, waiting for Michelle to come home. I had rehearsed in my mind what I wanted to say, but as the minutes ticked by, the words seemed to slip away. I wanted her to understand the full weight of her betrayal, to see how deeply she had hurt me, but I also needed to maintain my composure. When the front door creaked open, I took a deep breath. Michelle walked in, her hair slightly damp from the rain outside, her face lit up with a smile that quickly faded once she saw my serious expression. "Jake, what's going on?" she asked, a hint of concern lacing her voice. I gestured for her to sit down. "We need to talk," I said, striving to keep my tone steady. My heart raced as I prepared to lay everything bare. "What is it?" she asked, her brow furrowing in confusion. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I pulled out my phone and opened the folder I had created, filled with screenshots and evidence. I didn't waste any time. "You know Danny, the guy you've been texting?" I held the screen up, my finger hovering over the images that would expose her. Her eyes widened and she quickly shook her head. "Jake, I can explain. It's not what you think. Those texts were just jokes, nothing serious." I felt a surge of anger at her audacity. "Jokes? Really? Because it sure looks like you've been having more than just a laugh. This isn't just flirting, it's crossing every line. You've been lying to me, Michelle." Her expression shifted from shock to anger and then back to pleading. "You're overreacting." I swear it was just a fling. I didn't mean for it to go this far. "Didn't mean for it to go this far," I echoed, incredulous. "You've been sneaking around behind my back, acting like everything is fine while you're out with another man. How could you think that's acceptable?" "It's complicated, Jake. You don't understand," she pleaded, her voice rising. "I've been stressed with work and Danny was just someone to talk to. You don't pay attention to me anymore." The sheer audacity of her excuses made my blood boil. "This isn't about me not paying attention. This is about you choosing to betray the vows we made to each other. You made a conscious decision to cheat." As I ranted, I could see the mask of confidence slipping from her face, revealing the desperation underneath. "I was lonely, okay? You've been so busy with your job and I felt neglected." She cried out, her voice cracking. "But I love you. I didn't want it to come to this." "Love?" I scoffed. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have been in bed with someone else. That's not love, that's selfishness." It was painful to confront her like this, but I had to hold firm. I couldn't let her manipulate the situation any longer. I shifted my tone, trying to remain calm despite the whirlwind of emotions inside me. "You had a choice, Michelle. You chose to betray me, and now I need to make a choice too. I can't keep living like this, pretending everything is fine while you're out with another man." She looked at me, her eyes welling with tears. "Please, Jake, don't do this. We can work it out. You don't have to throw everything away." "Work it out? What exactly would that look like?" I pressed, crossing my arms over my chest. "You keep lying to me, sneaking around. I deserve more than that, and so do you. It's time for some honesty." "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Then why did you?" I shot back, unable to keep the hurt from my voice. "You put yourself in this position. You think I can just forget it and pretend nothing happened. You've shattered my trust." For a moment the room fell silent, the weight of the situation hanging heavy between us. I could see her grappling with the reality of the moment, and for a brief second I could sense genuine remorse. But it was too late. The damage was done, and no amount of pleading could patch up the wounds she had inflicted. "Jake, please," she begged, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'll do anything to make this right. Just give me another chance." I shook my head, the decision firm in my mind. "I can't do that. I need to take care of myself now. I need to think about my future." The words felt liberating to say, but they also came with a heavy weight of loss. As I prepared to end this chapter of my life, I felt a strange sense of clarity. I didn't want to hold on to the anger or the hurt. I wanted to move forward, and I couldn't do that while being dragged back by the chains of betrayal. With that resolve, I added, "I'm done, Michelle. I can't keep pretending. It's over." Just like that, I saw the realization hit her, the full weight of my words settled in the air between us. The fight in her seemed to drain away, and I could see the truth laying bare in her eyes. I had broken free from the emotional prison she had created. Now it was time for me to embrace my new reality, one where I focused on my own well-being and financial independence. The conversation had been brutal, but I needed it to be. It was a cathartic release, a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. I was ready to begin the next phase of my life, one where I took control of my future, free from the shackles of betrayal. After that pivotal confrontation, the reality of my new life began to sink in. The relief that came with breaking free of Michelle was palpable, but it was accompanied by a deep sense of sadness. I had loved her. We had shared dreams, plans, and so many memories together. Yet the more I reflected on our relationship, the clearer it became that it had been built on a shaky foundation of trust that she had willingly shattered. The immediate aftermath of our separation was disorienting. I moved back to my apartment, a place that felt oddly foreign without Michelle's presence. The silence was deafening. I had gotten used to her laughter, her quirks, and even her irritating habits. But now, in that quiet apartment, I found myself wondering if I could ever truly feel at home again. In the weeks that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into my work, putting in long hours and striving to prove myself. My marketing team was gearing up for a big campaign, and I used it as an opportunity to channel my energy into something productive. I poured my heart into my projects, finding solace in creativity and strategy. It felt good to be productive, to be in control of something. But work wasn't the only thing I turned to. I rediscovered hobbies I had neglected over the years. I started going to the gym regularly, finding an outlet for my frustrations through physical fitness. I signed up for a few classes: cooking, photography, even rock climbing, anything that would help me meet new people and redirect my energy. It was liberating to explore these passions that had long been sidelined by my relationship. One night, while I was cooking a new recipe, I received a surprise text from my old college buddy Ryan. He wanted to catch up over drinks and asked if I was game. I hadn't seen him in years, but I figured a night out could do me good. It wasn't long before we were sitting at a bar, reminiscing about the good old days and catching up on life. "Man, I heard about what happened with you and Michelle. I can't believe she cheated on you," Ryan said, shaking his head in disbelief. "You're better off without her." I nodded, trying to mask the pain that lingered in my chest. "Yeah, it still stings, but I'm focusing on moving forward. I can't let it drag me down." "Good man," he replied with a grin, raising his glass. "To new beginnings." As we clinked our glasses together, I felt a surge of optimism. Maybe this was the change I needed. I had been so wrapped up in Michelle that I had lost sight of who I was. Sitting there, surrounded by laughter and camaraderie, I remembered what it felt like to have fun again. In the following weeks, I continued to throw myself into my new life. I made an effort to reconnect with friends I hadn't seen in years, expanding my social circle and rediscovering what it meant to enjoy life outside of a romantic relationship. I even started going to support group meetings for people navigating heartbreak, where I found comfort in sharing my story with those who understood the pain of betrayal. Through it all, I remained steadfast in my determination to secure my financial future. I spent evenings researching investments and financial planning. I created a budget that emphasized savings and investments, a stark contrast to the joint accounts and careless spending patterns I had shared with Michelle. I felt empowered as I took ownership of my finances, laying the groundwork for a solid foundation to build my future. Little did I know that the universe was conspiring to bring even more change into my life. One evening, as I was leaving my favorite coffee shop after a long day, I bumped into Laura, an old college acquaintance. She had always been friendly, but we never really connected back in school. "Jake, is that you?" She beamed, her smile lighting up the street. "It's been ages. What are you up to?" We fell into conversation easily, the chemistry between us palpable. I found myself laughing and enjoying her company. Laura was lively, adventurous, and had a passion for life that was contagious. We exchanged numbers and agreed to meet up for drinks. I was a bit hesitant, still nursing the wounds from my previous relationship, but there was something refreshing about her. A week later, we met for drinks at a trendy bar downtown. As we talked, I could feel a spark of interest building. Laura was funny, intelligent, and had a genuine warmth that put me at ease. We shared stories about our lives, our dreams, and even our heartbreaks. It felt good to connect with someone who understood the ups and downs of life. By the end of the night, I knew I wanted to see her again. It was a strange feeling, a mix of excitement and apprehension. I hadn't expected to feel this way so soon after everything with Michelle, but it was refreshing. Laura seemed to understand my journey without judgment, and that made all the difference. As weeks passed, our connection deepened, and I found myself falling into a rhythm of dating again. It was liberating to explore this new chapter in my life, one where I wasn't bogged down by past mistakes or regrets. I found myself laughing more and enjoying life in ways I hadn't in years. But amidst the joy, I remained cautious. I had learned my lesson the hard way, and I wasn't about to rush into anything new without taking the time to truly understand my feelings. I needed to ensure that I was ready to embrace love again, this time with the wisdom of experience. And while I ventured into this new relationship with Laura, I kept my commitment to my own personal growth and financial independence. I was building a life that was mine, untethered by the weight of betrayal. I was determined to not gamble on love again, and I was ready to invest in myself first. Little did I know, the best was yet to come. As my relationship with Laura blossomed, I found myself navigating a complex mix of emotions: excitement, caution, and above all, gratitude for the lessons I had learned. I was still guarded after the heartbreak I had experienced with Michelle, but Laura's warmth and kindness made it easier for me to lower my defenses. Our dates turned into a whirlwind of adventure, laughter, and deep conversations that made me realize how much I had craved genuine connection. One Saturday, we decided to take a spontaneous road trip to the coast. The weather was perfect, and the drive was filled with music, laughter, and shared stories. As we walked along the beach, the sun setting behind us, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in a long time. It was as if my heartbreak had paved the way for something beautiful, a new beginning that was entirely my own. Yet, as I enjoyed this new chapter, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to confront my past one more time. I hadn't spoken to Michelle since our confrontation, but I knew there were unresolved feelings that needed to be addressed. I needed closure, not just for myself, but also to ensure that I could fully embrace this new life with Laura. With a mix of apprehension and determination, I decided to reach out to Michelle. I sent her a text asking if she could meet me for coffee. To my surprise, she agreed, albeit with a hint of uncertainty. We set a time and place, and as the day approached, I found myself battling a whirlwind of emotions. Would she try to manipulate me again? Would I be able to stay calm and composed? When we met at a local cafe, I felt a familiar tension in the air. Michelle looked different, more worn, perhaps. The vibrant woman I had once known seemed dimmed by the consequences of her choices. As we sat down, the silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words. "Thanks for meeting me," I began, searching for the right way to express what I needed to say. "I wanted to talk about what happened about us." She nodded, her expression a mixture of regret and resolution. "I've thought about it a lot too, Jake. I know I hurt you and I'm sorry. I messed up and I don't expect you to forgive me." "I don't know if I can," I admitted, feeling the weight of the truth on my chest. "But I need to understand why it happened, why you chose to betray us." Her eyes filled with tears as she fumbled for words. "I was lost, Jake. I didn't know how to communicate my needs and I thought I was doing something harmless. I never meant for it to spiral out of control." As she spoke, I could see glimpses of the woman I had fallen in love with, but the bitterness lingered. "It wasn't harmless, Michelle. It shattered everything we built together. I want you to know that I've moved on, but I needed to talk to you for my own peace of mind." "I get it," she said softly. "You deserve happiness, and I truly hope you find it, even if it's not with me." There was a painful honesty in her words, a recognition of our reality. I felt a strange sense of closure wash over me. I had needed to see her remorse to understand how she had come to terms with her actions. I wasn't looking for reconciliation, I was looking for clarity. "Thank you for sharing that," I replied, my tone steady. "I've learned so much from this experience. I know my worth now, and I'm taking steps to secure my future, both financially and emotionally." Michelle nodded, her tears still glistening in her eyes. "I'm proud of you, Jake. You were always the responsible one. I hope you continue to pursue that." With that, our conversation began to shift towards the future. We spoke about our lives, the lessons learned, and how we both planned to move forward. It was bittersweet but essential. When we finally parted ways, I felt lighter. I had faced my past head-on, and it no longer held power over me. As I walked back to my car, I felt a renewed sense of empowerment. I knew that I was ready to embrace the future with Laura. With every moment we had spent together, I realized how much I appreciated her and the kindness she showed me. She wasn't just a distraction. She was someone who saw me for who I truly was, flaws and all. In the days that followed, Laura and I grew even closer. I found joy in the smallest moments, cooking dinner together, binge-watching our favorite shows, and even exploring new local spots. I could feel the walls I had built around my heart beginning to crumble. I was healing, and it felt good. One evening, while we were curled up on the couch with takeout, Laura turned to me with a serious expression. "Jake, I know you've been through a lot lately, and I want you to know that I'm here for you. I care about you, and I want to support you as you navigate this new chapter." Her words struck a chord deep within me. "I care about you too, Laura. I've been trying to be cautious, but I can't deny how much you mean to me. You've helped me rediscover who I am, and I appreciate that more than you know." We shared a kiss, and in that moment I felt a sense of hope for love, trust, and a future built on honesty and respect. I was no longer the man who had been betrayed. I was someone who had learned from his mistakes and was determined to create a life that reflected that. As we continued to explore this new relationship, I also made a conscious effort to keep my finances in check. I started investing more seriously, researching opportunities that could help secure my future. I even took the plunge and enrolled in an online course about personal finance, eager to learn and grow. I realized that, while love could be a gamble, my financial independence was something I could control. I wanted to ensure that, no matter what happened, I would always be able to stand on my own 2 feet. I was determined to create a life that was fulfilling, both personally and professionally. The journey hadn't been easy, but it had taught me invaluable lessons about love, trust, and self-worth. I was ready to embrace whatever the future held, knowing that I had the strength to overcome any challenge that came my way. With Laura by my side and my newfound independence, I felt ready to take on the world once more, never again to gamble on love without first investing in myself. As I continued to build my life with Laura, every moment felt like a new adventure, one that I was fully prepared to embrace. The warmth and understanding we shared filled the void that had once been occupied by betrayal and heartbreak. I had learned to appreciate the little nuances of love, the importance of communication, and the necessity of mutual respect in a relationship. Months passed, and I found myself falling deeper for Laura. She brought joy into my life in ways I had never anticipated. We often spoke about our dreams, and I shared with her my aspirations for financial independence. She encouraged me to pursue my interests and supported my newfound commitment to investing and personal growth. I had never felt so seen or appreciated. One weekend, we decided to escape the city for a little getaway to a cabin in the woods. It was the perfect opportunity to unwind, enjoy nature, and spend uninterrupted time together. As we settled in by the fireplace, I felt a sense of peace enveloping me. The crackling fire and the soft glow of the room created an intimate atmosphere that felt surreal. That evening, as we sat on the couch, wrapped in blankets and sipping hot cocoa, Laura turned to me, her expression serious but affectionate. "Jake, can I ask you something?" "Of course," I replied, my heart racing slightly. "What do you see for us in the future?" she asked, her gaze steady and sincere. The question caught me off guard. I had thought about our future often, but articulating it was another matter entirely. "Honestly, I see a lot of possibility. I want to keep building this life together, one where we support each other's dreams and grow both personally and financially." She nodded, a smile breaking across her face. "I feel the same way. I'm so grateful we found each other, especially after everything you've been through." As we continued to talk, I felt a shift in my heart. I realized that I wanted to take this relationship to the next level. I felt secure with her, and the idea of a future together didn't scare me. It excited me. I knew I had to share that with her. "Laura," I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion, "I know we've only been together a short while, but I want you to know that I'm all in. I'm ready to invest in this relationship for the long haul. You've shown me what it means to love and be loved again, and I don't want to lose that." Her eyes sparkled with tears of joy. "Jake, that means so much to me. I want us to build something beautiful together, something lasting." In that moment, everything felt right. I had spent so long feeling lost, but here I was, ready to embrace the future with a woman who had helped me rediscover my true self. It was profound to think about how much I had changed over the past year. I had transformed from a man who had felt betrayed and broken into someone who was prepared to love wholeheartedly again. As the weekend continued, we explored the surrounding woods, hiked up trails, and even built a snowman. Each shared experience strengthened our bond, and I felt a sense of gratitude for the path that had led me here. I was learning that real love didn't come with conditions. It flourished in an environment of trust and support. By the time we returned to the city, I knew I wanted to take our relationship to the next level. I began planning something special. I wanted to propose to her, but I wanted it to be meaningful, reflective of our journey together. A few weeks later, on a beautiful Saturday morning, I decided it was time. I took Laura to our favorite park, where we had shared countless picnics and walks. The morning sun bathed everything in golden light, setting the perfect backdrop. As we strolled hand in hand, I felt a rush of excitement and nerves. Stopping at a picturesque spot, I turned to her, taking a deep breath. "Laura, since the day we met, you've brought so much happiness into my life. You've helped me heal in ways I never thought possible. I want to share my life with you to build a future together, filled with love, adventure, and mutual respect." Her eyes widened, and I could see the emotion swelling within her. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Will you marry me?" Time seemed to stand still. I could see the realization dawning on her face, and then a smile broke through the tears. "Yes, yes, of course, I will." The weight of the world lifted from my shoulders as I slipped the ring onto her finger. It felt like a new beginning, one that was built not on the ashes of my past, but on the foundation of trust, love, and commitment. As I embraced her, I couldn't help but reflect on my journey. I had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and loss, but I had also discovered my own strength and resilience. I had learned to prioritize my own happiness and security, and that made all the difference in the world. As we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, I realized that I had finally broken free from the chains of my past. I was ready for the future. This time, I was prepared to invest in love, knowing that the greatest returns come from genuine connection and unyielding support. I was no longer gambling on love. I was making a wise choice, and it felt exhilarating.